Have you ever noticed something strange? That the abuse has ended, but somehow you feel more exhausted afterwards? Not less, but more? And that makes absolutely no sense because surely leaving was supposed to make you feel lighter, supposed to make you feel free. Surely, once the chaos ended, the exhaustion should have ended too. Instead, you wake up tired, you go through the day tired, you go to bed exhausted, and maybe you've started wondering, what's wrong with me? Why can't I bounce back? Why do I feel weaker now than I did when I was actually living through it? And if you've ever had those thoughts, this video may explain why. If we haven't met before, I'm Angela Darling, and I help survivors understand why leaving the relationship doesn't always stop its impact. And if you've been asking yourself, why am I still so exhausted? Let's talk about it. Maybe this feels really familiar for you. You get a message and you stare at it for 20 minutes, and you still don't have the energy to reply. You find yourself cancelling plans that you were really looking forward to, not because you don't want to go, but because it just feels like too much. Or maybe you find that you've finally got a quiet evening to yourself, and instead of feeling relaxed, you feel flat, you feel drained, you feel heavy. Maybe you found yourself walking into a supermarket only to suddenly turn around and leave before you've even bought anything because it just feels so overwhelming. Maybe you found that you sit down to watch something you really enjoy and somehow don't even have the energy for that. Your body feels heavy, your mind feels foggy. Simple decisions feel strangely difficult. And perhaps this is the hardest part. Nobody sees that. They see somebody who's left, somebody who's survived, somebody who should be moving on. But meanwhile, you're wondering, well, the danger has gone, so why do I feel like I've got nothing left in my tank? And this is where so many survivors become incredibly hard on themselves. And they start making exhaustion mean something. That they're weak, that they're failing, that maybe they've become the problem. But what if none of those things are true? What if your exhaustion isn't evidence that something is wrong with you, but evidence of how long you've been carrying something incredibly heavy? I think this is one of the least talked about parts of recovery, because while you're in survival mode, you don't often have the luxury of falling apart, do you? So you keep going, you keep functioning, you keep showing up, you keep getting through the day. And the next, and the next. Not because you're thriving, but because you have to. And many survivors become incredibly good at functioning while exhausted, functioning while anxious, functioning while overwhelmed, functioning while completely disconnected from themselves. And that's survival. And survival only ever has one key job. Keep moving no matter the cost. The only problem is the bill will eventually arrive. And many survivors don't fully feel that exhaustion until life finally feels a little safer. Because survival often postpones collapse. And this is the part that changes everything. Your exhaustion does not mean that you're failing to heal. Think about it. For months, sometimes even years, your system may have been preparing for conflict, for criticism, for emotional unpredictability, for walking on eggshells, for reading moods, for watching for changes in tone, for trying to prevent the next problem before it's even showed up. And that takes energy. That takes an enormous amount of energy. And when the threat finally does disappear, the body often reveals what it was carrying all along. This is why so many survivors tell me, well, I held everything together while I was in it, but now I'm falling apart. Or I was stronger during the relationship than I am now. Or I don't understand why I'm struggling more after leaving. And the answer is surprisingly simple. You're not necessarily falling apart. You may finally be feeling what survival didn't allow you to feel before. This is also where so many survivors become stuck because they understand what happened. They've watched the videos, they've read the books, they've learned about narcissistic abuse, they've connected all the dots. They know exactly why the relationship was harmful, and yet they're still exhausted. They're still overwhelmed. They're still struggling to feel like themselves. This is what I call the awareness plateau, the place where understanding exists, but the body is still carrying the cost, because knowing you're safe and feeling you're safe are not always the same thing. This is why healing cannot only be about awareness. Awareness does matter. It's really important. But awareness alone does not automatically teach the body that the danger is over. The body has its own timeline, its own learning process, its own experience of safety. And when you've spent a long time adapting to emotional survival, it makes sense that your energy doesn't instantly return the moment the relationship ends. The abuse may be over, but your body may still be catching up to the reality of that. So if you're exhausted, please stop using that exhaustion as evidence that you're failing. Because what if your exhaustion means something completely different? What if it's evidence of how hard you've been fighting, how hard you've been carrying, how long you've been surviving, how your body was never designed to stay in emergency mode forever. It was designed for rest, for connection, for joy, for presence, for peace. And no matter how distant those things feel right now, your body can relearn them again. The exhaustion you're experiencing today does not have to be your future. This is the work I do with survivors, not simply helping them understand the trauma, but helping the body to stop carrying the burden of surviving it. If this resonated with you, I've linked my free masterclass below where I explain the survival loop in more depth and why so many survivors stay stuck long after the relationship ends. And in my next video, I'm going to explain why so many survivors feel like they've completely lost themselves after narcissistic abuse and how identity repair can actually begin. Because once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself for who survival forced you to become. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. If this video helped you feel seen, helped you feel understood, or gave you a new perspective on what you're experiencing, please let me know below in the comments. I read every single one. And if you're ready to understand why your body may still be stuck in survival mode after narcissistic abuse, you can access my free masterclass using the link in the description. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. There is nothing wrong with you. You may simply be carrying the adaptations that once helped you to survive, and those can change. Bye for now.